love teaching elementary students. And so I ended up doing that. Now I work at the library part-time instead of teaching music. I also taught piano lessons. Until I started teaching full-time, I taught piano lessons because the piano is probably my main instrument. And so I started taking piano lessons when I was in first grade. In first grade, I started taking piano lessons. And I loved to sing, and our whole family loved to sing. And so we would sing together as a family all the time, too. So what we've got here, and what we've had in our glass case all during our summer reading program, was all these instruments. And we kind of wanted to see if you guys could guess what these instruments are. And some of them I think you're just going to be right up there and you're really going to know. And I also want you to realize that we take instruments and we put them together in families. And we put them in families based on how they make their sound. How they make their sound is how we decide which family they belong to. Is there any of you older kids who know what the families are? Grant.
Do we name all of them?
Well, I'll give us one to start. Maybe it'll make somebody else think of one.
Percussion.
Percussion. Okay, so we have a percussion family.
Brass.
We have a brass family. What do you think?
Strings.
Strings. Very good. And the last one?
Woodwinds.
Woodwinds. Woodwinds. Okay, so let's start here with the percussion family. So what we have here, what would you call this?
Drum.
A drum. It's a special kind of drum, though, because it's got a big one and a little one. Right? Bongos. They're called bongos. Now, how come I have a big one and a little one? What? They're going to make different sounds. So one's going to make a high sound and one's going to make a low sound. Which one's going to make the high sound?
The big one.
The big one's going to make the high sound? How many think the big one's going to make the high sound? Oh, there's not very many hands. How many think the little one's going to make the high sound? Oh, there's more hands. Well, let's see. This one definitely makes the higher sound. Okay, so that's something to remember with instruments. The smaller the instrument, the higher the sound. And the bigger the instrument, it's going to be the lower the sound it's going to make. Okay? Percussion instruments make their sound when you hit them, strike them, shake them. That's how percussion instruments make their sound. And so these have the membrane across the top, and then they're open at the bottom. And if you set them on down here, they don't make very good sound. Do you know why? Go ahead, Grant. The air can't get out. That's how you hear. This is going to make the air vibrate, and it vibrates all the way to your ears. And that's how you hear. So if the air can't get out down below here, then you can't hear it as well. Okay? All right. I have another percussion instrument here.
I'm not going to roll them and make a lot of
And these are actually look a lot alike. And this is one that I got at school. And you just shake it. And this one I actually got in Peru just this summer. And it has some really cool carvings on them. I'm going to ask that you don't touch any of the instruments, but we will let you come up and take a closer look at them later on. And after we show you these instruments, I actually have an instrument, actually two instruments that you're going to get to take home with you. They're just simple, but I hope you'll like them. All right, so what should we do next? We did the percussion that I have. How about we do some brass instruments? And you're sitting here going, now wait a minute. You don't have any brass instruments here. But brass instruments make their sound by buzzing. And I do have this one back here. And this is actually my instrument from high school. Okay, so brass instruments will often have some kind of a mouthpiece. And you make the sound by buzzing. So how many of you can go? That's what you have to do in this. And your lips. What's vibrating? What's shaking? It's your lips, isn't it? Now if I just blow in this, Doesn't make any sound. No. But if I buzz, and then if I take it and I put it in all this tubing, now it's going to make a nice sound, isn't it? So this is a brass. Can anybody tell me what this instrument's called? This is a French horn. It's a French horn. And brass instruments often look brass in color, okay? But I have a different kind of a brass instrument here that comes from Australia. And you're like, no way, that's not a brass instrument. But it is, because of how it makes it sound. So, anybody want to guess what this is called? I said it's from Australia. That's your clue.
I can't pronounce the word.
You're right, though. You're right. Yes, a didgeridoo. A didgeridoo. Okay, and again, if I just blow into this, it doesn't make any sound. But if I take it and I buzz into it, like this, so you can take paper towel rolls. You can take my favorite is wrapping paper. The higher you buzz, the higher the sound, and the looser you buzz, the lower the sound. So this is actually a brass instrument, even though it's not made out of brass. Okay, I have a few. So, this is actually a percussion instrument. This actually falls into the percussion. This is called a kalimba. And a kalimba comes to us from Africa. And Africa is a whole continent. And if you ask me which country in Africa, I could not tell you. But this was given to me. This was a gift. And you play this with your thumbs. No, I'm not very good at it, am I? Because I don't play this one. You actually kind of want to do it. And what this is doing, if you could hold this box, the whole box is just kind of shaking. And the air is going to come out this hole here. So if you were to cover up this hole, it doesn't make quite as good a sound as it does when you hold it open. So it's called a kalimba. And this one, because
it looks like some type of portable piano.
It does look like that because you have some short ones and some long ones. And the long ones make the low sounds. And the short ones make the high sounds.
But what about the ones at the top?
Oh, because this is where your piece of wood is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's and then it's just kind of, uses this as kind of a bridge. So you want to play it down here, you don't want to play it up here. It'd be like trying to play the violin way up at the strings. Who can tell me what this is?
Violin.
A violin. And this is actually about a 3/4 size student violin. So it's not quite as big as the ones you'll see them playing in the orchestra. And there's another name for this, besides violin. If you see it in the country band, what do they call it?
Fiddle.
There you go. It's called a fiddle. But it's all the same instrument. But what I'm going to do here, this is actually made up of lots of little strings. And I'm going to tighten them. And then they take and they'll put rosin, which is it's like the sap out of a pine tree. And they'll put that on there because they want it to stick just a little bit. Let's see what I can do here. And every once in a while they'll even pluck them to play them. Other string instruments we have, this belongs to Crystal, and this is a banjo, and we're not going to play it, but you can kind of see what it looks like. It's pretty old. And the different shapes and we have a mandolin, and we have a guitar. And these are all string instruments.
Isn't a mandolin played in Mandarin?
I don't think so, but you'll find stringed instruments all around the world. In every culture, you'll find stringed instruments, you'll find woodwind, percussion, all around the world. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of our woodwinds. And the woodwinds, you blow or you have reeds that will vibrate when you blow. And so that's kind of what this is. What is this called?
Harmonica.
A harmonica. I'm not very good at those. This is called, you may have seen one of these at school.
Whistle.
A recorder. And the recorders go way back to like the kings and queens of England when they used to, Queen Elizabeth I, they used to have like recorders and stuff. Something simple. Did you recognize it? Mary had a little lamb. Now this is the instrument that just drives me crazy because I cannot play it. This is a shakuhachi from Japan. And I have tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. And you have to blow across it. You know how the flutes they play like this? They actually blow across it like a soda pop bottle. How many of you have ever blown across a soda pop bottle and gotten a nice little tune? Okay? Oh, you need to try it. You get it. Sometimes soda will come in bottles, not in cans, but in bottles.
I have some.
Okay, so then you try going like this across the top. So this is like a Japanese flute.
It looks more like an African thing.
Oh, it actually comes from Japan. Now, this is not the entire instrument. This is only a piece of the instrument. Can anybody guess what piece? Can I stump you on this one, Grant? Do you have any idea where this may have come from? This is actually a pipe out of an organ. We used to have pipes in the church. And so this is just one pipe out of an organ. And they would blow air through these, and you can blow air through this. And it would make the sound, and it hits this, and it blows out. But this is one pipe out of a pipe organ. And so the person is sitting there playing the keyboard, and when they push down on the key, it would tell the air which one of these things to go through, and there might be 300 of these that it would have the choice of going through. What I have for you all is a way to make a double reed instrument. And a double reed instrument is, those are your oboes and your bassoons. And clarinets and saxophones, they have a single reed, which is a single piece of wood. But double reeds have two pieces of wood. And when you put them together, then they make a nice sound. So what we do is we gave you your tube that you need, but then we cut the end of it into a point. And that's going to be your double reed for your instrument. So when I give this to you, I want you to take the pointy end, and then very, very gently, you're going to take the 2 points, and you're going to flatten them a little bit, okay? So they're one with your teeth. So when you get this just a little bit flattened,
I can't.
then you're going to blow into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So you get in this part, so those two pointy things. Get it? Get it? So you're taking those 2 points, and you just flatten them a little bit, and then blow into it, and pull it out and in just a little bit as you're doing it. So you get it right in that sweet spot. You got it. Now experiment with doing it tighter, and that'll make it higher, and looser, and that'll make it lower. And then how they got the whole thing in here. You're making it longer too. All right, put your instrument down for a second. Put your instrument down for a second. And listen to this one. Now, what are these called? Kazoos. And do you know how to play a kazoo? Who can tell me how do you play it, Avery? You hum into that, and you hum into the big end. Okay? So what's vibrating when you hum into it? Is this bumming? No, it's like you're vibrating inside your mouth, right? Okay. So here we go. For just a second. I want to show you that we've got these two really cool books here. One is Poppy and the Brass Band, and one is Poppy and the Orchestra. And they actually will make sounds. They will actually make sounds. And so, if you want to hear a professional play the violin, it sounds like this.
Oh, it's fine. We're good.
And here's my instrument.
Piano.
A single reed. Okay. And remember I showed you the banjo? The last thing that we have is Crystal had brought in some different ways that music has evolved over the years. And so we have, how many of you have seen these before? Oh good, this is like a record. We call these records. And then we went from records to 45s. And then we had something that was called an 8-track player. And then we had cassette players and CDs. And then we went to what you guys use today, MP3 players. So you guys have been a fabulous audience. Thank you so much. Enjoy your musical instruments. Different strings, and the strings are different weights. So like they're thicker, some are thicker and some are thinner.